you must invoke your right to speak to a lawyer specifically, right? Okay? So, again, let's go back to Officer Soto. Why does Officer Soto ignore 16 repetitions of, are you detaining the officer? Right? Because if he were to say, no, I'm not detaining you, boom. And if he were to say, yes, I am detaining you, what would the driver say? I need to speak to a... Would Officer Soto get his answer? Correct. So, are you detaining me is the correct answer to virtually every question posed to you by law enforcement, from now until the storm passes. And I would urge all of those who are citizens to behave likewise. Why? Why? Anyone in the audience, can you say why it is that citizens should likewise invoke their right to remain silent?
Muddies the waters. If citizens are answering likewise, then there's no...
Unless you affirmatively approve of and want to advance ethnic cleansing, then you too invoke your right to remain silent. That way, law enforcement officials can't entertain the conceit, the idea that everyone who doesn't cooperate with them is undocumented, right? So, in solidarity, we should all, in my opinion, invoke our right to remain silent. Enough said. Thank you. To the panelists, thank you for your indulgence.
Now for question number 2, this is for Mr. Luna and Ms. Hendricks. It means so much to know that in times like these, there are organizations like Somos Texas and Powerhouse that are not only deeply connected to this community, but truly committed to supporting and uplifting the people who live here. Mr. Luna and Ms. Hendricks, could you share a bit about the services and resources your organizations offer in this neighborhood and how students or community members can get involved in the work you're doing? If you're familiar with other organizations doing work like this, please feel free to share about them as well.
Thank you so much. And I wanted to preface it by saying that I do want to keep my comment short because there's so much talent and knowledge that you were given that I want to yield as much time to the attorneys. Also, that I have known for over 10 years, and as the co-founder of the Dream Team, he provided so much comfort and confidence to our organizations that the most knowledge and wisdom I want to give to them. As somebody who is an immigrant and as somebody who has not created a third nonprofit, Somos Texas is dedicated to every single individual, and regardless of the grade status. Right now, we have a $30,000 worth of scholarship that we're providing to college students to continue their civic information, professional learning. The resources that we provide are ones that focus on leadership, community, and culture to ensure that our community doesn't feel afraid and doesn't live in a fearful state to continue to live their life. Right now, what's most important to us is that we have to navigate this paradigm of fear and caution. And we cannot allow the oppressive forces to take our joy away from us, to take our essence away from us. A lot of this is their way to make sure that we no longer want to maybe go to the store, do things that continue to live our daily lives. Now, there's not to be caution. Traveling on planes are going to be more difficult. And if you are not with status, I would highly encourage you to reconsider some of these elements. But our organization is just mainly focusing on providing and sharing as much information and participating in events of this nature. So that's kind of what we focus on.
Hi. So at Hart House, our lane of the highway is the children. So we provide our services currently at McShann Elementary. We are currently reviewing where our future home will be. So I encourage you to, if you have young children or know people who do, that you sign up for our newsletter or look at our website to learn where we're going to be in the near future. We are committed to staying in Vickery Meadow. That is where we were established, and that is where we are staying, and we have been here for the past 25 years. So our mission is twofold. One is literacy improvement. We want to make sure that children of this community have the support that they need to learn the English language and to be able to read and understand and write effectively in the English language. But we don't stop there. We also focus on the child's mental well-being. As a parent myself, I know that when I am stressed, when I was stressed, my children are older now, that my children felt that stress. Unfortunately, they're still in their 20s and still living at home, so they still feel the stress that caused the stress. So we know that children absorb the stresses that the parents are going through. The children absorb the tension that they feel in the environment right now. just because children have escaped horrific circumstances, the family has potentially escaped poorer conditions in their home country, doesn't mean that they have come to find the American dream that they expected to find. This community speaks 50 to 70 different languages. So that's another complexity that these children are absorbing as they are here in the community. So we focus on their mental well-being and their literacy achievement. I will say that if you are not involved in the VCAT, the Vickery Community Action Team, we meet quarterly. Those are the agencies that are serving this rich community. We exist to provide the services that are needed. We do not want to exist in a vacuum. We need the input from community members to help us stay on track and make sure we are doing the things, providing the resources that you need here in this community. So the next meeting of the VCAT will be on April 25th here in this building at noon. I encourage you to come if you're available to share your perspective or to let someone else know that we need to hear from them, because we are not here for ourselves. We are here for this community. Thank you.
Now for the next question, this is for Mr. Sultan and Ms. Chavarria. There are many community organizations working to support this community. Ms. Chavarria and Mr. Sultan, can you also share about any legal resources available in Dallas County? Are there any low-cost or free legal clinics, emergency hotlines, or trusted organizations you recommend?
Sure, I'll start first. And I know some of the organizations are Catholic Charities and Human Rights Initiative. Those are two very trusted organizations that we have here in Dallas. I know I've worked with some of them for pro bono cases, and they are able to provide resources and low bono cases. But Paul, do you know of any other organizations?
Mosaic also provides representation to folks who have endured domestic violence and violence here stateside, I believe also trafficking victims. There are also many community-based organizations that are working on a early warning system for ICE raids. There's an organization, a loose-knit organization of service providers and attorneys called FIRE to counter ICE. And I'm unfortunately not the person to ask. I've been less engaged in this than I had during the first Trump administration, and so I've exhausted my list of resources there. I would encourage those in this audience or watching remotely to search online. And Catholic Charities is a good place to start. Their work is always excellent.
So this resource is not necessarily for immigration, but for families who may be refugee or immigrant who have encountered the Child Protective Services system and need assistance in how to navigate that. Color Me Safe is the name of that organization.
Thank you. And I just made a quick comment on two social media sites that I also look to. Like Civil Rights Project is a good site to continue to just get up-to-date information. The environment that we're in is constantly changing. There's new things coming up. So ACLU also provides some really good content. A lot of it is just sharing information and being up to speed with what's going on. Raíces, Alex, I don't know if you know. Yeah, so Raíces is also another good organization too.
This next question is for Ms. Chavarria specifically. Many people in our community are interested in becoming citizens, but may not know where to start, may not trust the process currently, and are unsure of what their options are. Ms. Chavarria, if someone wants to become a U.S. citizen, but is hesitant because of the current climate around immigration enforcement, can you share a little bit about the various pathways to citizenship? And is it safe to begin that process now?
So most of the time when you apply for citizenship, it means that you're already a lawful permanent resident, green card holder, if many know it. Right now, my advice is if you can qualify for citizenship, do it. Now, if you have certain issues, certain criminal convictions, maybe you've been living abroad for a while as a resident and you're coming back, definitely consult with an immigration attorney, because those are issues that may arise when you go to your interview. And what we don't want to do is put someone at risk of potentially being in removal proceedings. So first step is consult with an immigration attorney, see if you do qualify. If you do qualify, then I say yes, go ahead and apply for citizenship. Becoming a citizen is one of the most powerful things that you can do here in the United States. It gives you the right to vote. It also gives you the right to file a petition for your relatives. Now, the other context where we see someone becoming a citizen, and sometimes they might not know that they're citizens, is maybe if they parent or a parent who is a U.S. citizen. Now that could be someone who was born here in the U.S. or someone who naturalized. And so that's also very important. You know, what is your family history? Did this person become a citizen before you turned 18 years of age, or maybe was your grandfather a U.S. citizen? There are people that I've consulted with that had no idea that they were U.S. citizens, and so it's very important. If you think you may be a U.S. citizen, again, consult with an immigration attorney, because at that point we can either request your U.S. passport or file for a certificate of citizenship. So very, very important. I strongly encourage anybody who thinks they qualify for citizenship, go ahead and do it. If you have some tricky issues, please consult with an attorney. Don't just do it yourself, especially if you have certain criminal convictions. Doesn't matter how old the conviction was, maybe 20 years ago, that can come back and haunt you.
These last two questions will be open to all panelists, so whoever wants to go first is free to do so. For question number 5, for those students, neighbors, and community members who are not directly impacted by recent immigration policy decisions but want to help, what are some meaningful ways they can support migrant and refugee families who may be facing fear, instability, or legal challenges right now?
I can begin, pass it on. You know, attending seminars like this, getting informed is so powerful. The confidence that we have in moving forward is what determines whether we're going to be afraid or cautious. And we have to live in a level of caution, but also don't let that take away our spirit and our joy. Again, our community, and I felt that as an immigrant myself, a lot of times these are very tense moments, and we could have to continue to provide some levity in that breath. The other thing that that's important is advocating and voting. We are taking students to the Capitol often, and there's so many of our rights that are being trampled on, and there's so much communities that are being disenfranchised, are being put down, and understanding the intersectionalities of our struggle. And coming in finally as a united front, we can finally topple some of these oligarchy powers that be. To me, I've dedicated 20 years to community because I wholeheartedly believe that community is going to be our salvation and our way out of this system of oppression and oligarchy. And so don't be afraid to use your voice. Some of us don't have the power of voting, but we have a voice and they're not going to silence it. And the more allies we are, the stronger our front is, and that is the way to defeat the oppressive powers that have been happening.
Those are very good points. I think one of the most important things to ask, you know, you, the neighbor who has legal status, ask your neighbor, how are you? Just to listen to them, because these are very frightening times. And sometimes, you know, they just need to express it to someone who's not their child, who's not in the same boat as them. So just ask them, how are you? And listen, and then provide those resources. You know, if they need help, you know, maybe getting together with a family law attorney, you know, what happens with my child if I get deported and my child's a U.S. citizen? You know, try to help them find those resources and come to these types of community events. And like I said, one of the most important things is just ask them, how are you? Be kind to them, because again, these are very, very stressful, hectic times.
These are excellent ideas. The notion that that we should, the idea that we should all take an affirmative step, take actions to make our neighbors know that they are welcome here, that you that you will help as you can, and that you recognize they have as much right to be here as you yourself. I would also encourage people to express their opinions to their elected representatives, especially actually Republican representatives. At this stage, it is they who can, and only they, who can take affirmative steps to bring in an administration that is pursuing only ethnic cleansing. I stand by that at all cost, and I mean at all cost. Let your legislator know what you think about revoking the 1798 Alien Enemies Act and deporting people to El Salvador who aren't even from there, deporting people to El Salvador without any process whatsoever, disappearing them. Let your legislator know what you think about the IRS turning over identifying information to immigration and how that is going to affect tax revenue. Let your legislator know what you think about compelling police to collaborate in the removal of people whose only crime was committed decades ago. And hopefully we can put an end to this insanity.